Hello, good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to my channel, Conversations with Rudy Rivera. Today, I am very thrilled to have my dear friend, Elena Antonetti, and her dear friend, a well-renowned economist in the Ukraine, Serguey Yakubovoskiy, who is currently in Odessa. Before we go on with the interview, please subscribe to my channel. We're doing everything we can to share the voices of people in the Ukraine from every aspect, humanitarian, economic, legal. But we feel that people should know what's going on. And the only way to do that is to present voices from the people of the Ukraine. Sergey, welcome. Elena, welcome. Thank you for agreeing to be interviewed.
Thank you, Rudy. It's a great opportunity. And as I saw you land your platform to so many different voices, my mind did go to Sergey, as he actually appears frequently commenting on the economic situation. And I think it would be great to hear from him, as he's in Odessa now and continuing to do his work.
And Sergey, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? I know you're an economist. You work at the university. Please tell us just a little bit about your background.
Good morning, dear friends. Thank you very much for giving me such an opportunity to explain my point of view about the situation in Ukraine. So, I'm Sergey Yakubovoskiy. I was born in Odessa and I'm still living in Odessa. My field of specialization is international economics. I'm head of the Department of World Economy and International Economic Relations of Odessa National University. So our university works now in a distance learning format as it was during last 2 years, and it was started this period when the COVID-19 epidemic started, and so we don't see we didn't meet many changes in our educational process, but of course I think that about 40 or 50% of our students are not now in Odessa or even in Ukraine, but we work as before the war. We are trying to do this.
I
How
have
much?
to ask Seryoja, are you okay? You look, of course, as always, concerned and a little tired. How is it going to be in charge of the department where 50% of people left? And I'm sure you're worried about so many things, but
So now I think that I'm better than it was 40 days ago when the war started, because now I think that we have hope that maybe this war will come to an end, but we need support for this. And first of all, it's a great opportunity for me to speak with auditorium from the United States, because from my point of view, not all in the United States understand what is happening in Ukraine. And of course, I will express only my private point of view, but I think that a lot of mistakes were made also by the United States, and this policy of sanctions against Russia. I can't say that it's a wrong policy, but this policy didn't reach, from my point of view, any success. Because before the war, a lot was even before the war, a lot was said. A lot of so United States said what they would do against Russia, and so Putin and Russia Federation had time to prepare for these sanctions. And from my point of view, these sanctions even made Russia stronger than it was before the war. If I can, I would try to
Sure,
explain.
absolutely. Go ahead.
That's very interesting. I would love to understand this better because, that's not
Uh,
something you could hear from other sources.
Yeah, yes. I think that the same happened, for example, with Iran, that is under that is under the sanction for I think for 30 years. But Russia is stronger than Iran. So what is happening? So United States introduced anti-European Union sanctions against Russia. So and these sanctions uh, had led to decrease of Russian import. And of course, the majority of people in Russia have suffered from this sanction because the level of life in Russia has decreased. But speaking about the economy, this sanction led to the decrease of import. But unfortunately, not all countries in the world support these countries, especially countries of Asia, China, and India. So what happened due to the war? The prices for Russian products have increased, and of course, maybe Russia would sell less oil and gas for European countries, but other countries, India, China, Turkey, will buy more of Russian products, and that's why the total amount of currency of foreign currency that Russia will get from foreign trade will increase. So, according to the calculation of Bloomberg agency, American agency, so the positive trade balance of Russia will increase from uh, 120 billions in 2021 to 250 billions in 2022. So more than twice, Russia will increase the profit of trade balance. So, of course, Russian economy will lose because many foreign companies, I think that the majority of the US companies and European Union companies will go away from Russian economy. But uh, the products of this company will be replaced by Chinese companies. For example, Russians would not be able to buy Apple phones. But China now produces maybe not telephones that are not so good as American or European, but also they're not very bad. The same will happen with other Russian industries, from which foreign investor which will be lifted by foreign investors from European Union and the United States. But Chinese companies will come to this industries. Another problem is the situation with Ukrainian economy. According to the estimation of the Ministry of Economy, the decline of GDP will be about 40% in 2025. And the biggest problem for the Ukrainian economy is the closing of ports. Ukraine has competitive advantages in several fields, for example, in agriculture, in metal production, but about 90% of these exports were going from through seaports,
Mhm.
and these markets we were competitors of Russia. So together with Russian Federation, the share of international of world market of grain, Ukraine and Russia, it was 30%. But now all seaports of Ukraine are closed. That gives opportunity to Russian Federation to increase the amount of export of grain to the countries of Northern Africa and Asia. And these countries didn't introduce any sanctions against Russia. So
So are you
this
saying, just so I'm clear, Sergey, that you, in your opinion, the sanctions are not working? That
Well,
they are not
taking
working.
from this, if I can, I mean, it's not that the sanctions are a bad idea. It's just because of the other factors and the fact that there's so many countries that can take advantage of the sanctions in their favor.
exactly. So
That
there,
is where the problem is. And you know, from the moral and ethical kind of perspective, as an American citizen now, I can say I can't imagine buying Russian products. But so we felt that we had to sanction, you know, from the majority's opinion. But yes, I mean, that's a problem, because the danger is all the other countries, you know, making this coalition with Russia and prompting it up. And as a as a as someone born in Odessa, which is a large seaport, I mean, do you feel there is an acute danger for Odessa to be a really desirable object for Russia for the invasion?
I think that Russia planned in the beginning to come to Odessa, but I think that now there is no danger, because from the military point of view, it will be very difficult to take Odessa, because citizens of all region before Odessa, for example, in Nikolaev region, they are against Russian troops, so they are fighting against Russian. Uh, so it was wrong expectation of Russia that southeast part of Ukraine will be happy to see Russian troops here. It was a big mistake, but now I think they understand that it is impossible to conquer all southeast part of Ukraine. So I hope that they now don't plan to come to Odessa. But speaking about the economy of Odessa region, I think that about 80% of enterprises now are closed. So speaking about Ukraine, so according to the official statistics, only 50% of all enterprise in Ukraine are working now. So 20% are doing like before the war. 30% of enterprises have problems, but they're still working. 20% were closed forever, and 30% expect them, if the war comes to an end, they will start their work. But now only 50% are working, from 50% from the whole economy. But in Odessa, only 20% due to the closed port. And 90% of Ukrainian export of metal and agriculture products, grain, um, were going through port. That's why, of course, now Ukraine tries to export through railway to Europe, but it's very complicated, because it's only 10% of Ukrainian export of agriculture can go through the railway. Because, for example, to China it is impossible to bring grain by railway, or to Northern Africa, so it is impossible. That's why we have lost our export markets, and unfortunately, Russia Federation now is taking this market, because it's what is happening in the world. For example, United States introduced sanctions against Ukraine oil and against Russian oil and gas. So it is forbidden to buy the United States petrol from Russia Federation. But Russia can sell this to China, India, and other East Asian countries. What Russia is doing now? They suggest lower prices. What I heard, 40 or 50% of discount, for example, for oil, for India and for China. It's also good for Russia because now the prices are very high, so more than $100 for barrel, twice higher than it was a year ago. So even if Russia gets 50 or $55 for barrel, it's better for them than it was in 2021. So of course, if all countries introduced sanctions against Russia, they would lose immediately. But not all. Even in European Union, there are countries like Hungary, Italy. These countries are against sanction against Russia. So Turkey. Um that's why sanctions they don't work, and they make Russia even stronger because there will be the replacement of import. So these sanctions would give more opportunity to the development of Russian agriculture sector. Of course, the quality of Russian products are lower than, for example, quality of European products, but it's not very important for Putin. For him, it's very important to remain his power. And what is the very bad thing that many intelligent Russians now are leaving Russia, especially in the IT sector and in other sectors. So the intellectual level of population of Russia is decreasing. That is bad because uh, not clever people are those who support Putin, and people who represent the intelligent part of Russia. They are leaving, and many clever people have left Russia and will leave in future. But it's not a problem for Putin because they have never they are not supporting him.
Well, you bring out an interesting point of view, Sergey, because when you look at the news here in America, all the news reports, these American economists, we call them pundits. They're paid to give opinions on these news channels, are saying that the sanctions are working, that Russia is suffering, that the people are being isolated, Putin's being isolated. So your point of view is it's really not working. It's making Putin stronger.
Yeah,
They still have more resources, and really the only way for sanctions to really be effective is for everyone to sanction, not just the United States and the European Union. Um, that's the first time I've heard that point of view from anybody, and I'm glad we're able to share it with people because I think what you bring out is an important point. But Sergey, I wanted to ask you generally, and this may be too broad of a question to answer, but what is the overall economic effect of a war? So, for example, when you look at how it affects the economy, how long would it take the Ukraine to bounce back? So, if you look at, for example, the war in Afghanistan, which is 20 years, right? There was a study from Brown University that the United States spent 2.3 trillion over, in Afghanistan as a result of the war. What are the economic costs of this war, both say to Putin and to the Ukraine? And also, how long would it take, assuming the war ended tomorrow, how long would it take the Ukraine to recover?
Oh, very complicated questions. What Putin is doing now in Ukraine? he tries to destroy economy. Now we have only one oil refinery factory in Ukraine, and I heard that it was missiles attack against this plant. So if this factory will be destroyed, then we will have no oil refinery factory in Ukraine. Then Russian Federation destroy every day oil and petrol storage in every region of Ukraine. So I think that very soon we will have a very big problem with petrol for the army, for agriculture, for the economy. Uh, what I know that the seaport infrastructure uh, was not destroyed. But if Russia wants, it can do it very quickly. You know, United States help Ukraine, but this help is very limited. No, before the war, United States take all military ships from Black Sea, and Russia is controlling Black Sea as well as air in Ukraine. They can attack from Black Sea, from Caspian Sea, any building, any infrastructure, any factory in Ukraine, and they do this every day. Every day, we don't have missiles like Israel has or Turkey has. We are asking for this kind of weapons, but the United States only give limited amount of weapons. I think that even maybe the same was happened in Afghanistan, but the war is different. Russian troops are stopped, and I think that they will not able to take Kiev or Kharkiv, but they are destroying the economy of Ukraine. What I said, and
May I ask a question? I mean, so we hear a lot about when you were talking about the lack of petroleum, for example, or access to something like that. We hear a lot about aid that NATO countries, I mean, it's not just the US, but NATO are trying to get into Ukraine. How visible is it? Do you see from just as you are, like a economics professor in Odessa, do you see any aid kind of coming in and making the situation a little less of a suffering on the ground there?
We got very important weapons to stop Russian tanks. So Javelin, maybe you know this name of weapon, American weapon against tanks. That's why they were not able to realize their plans due to thanks to American weapon. But now they're not trying to take cities because we have weapons to stop them before the cities before or within city, like in Mariupol. You know that for many weeks Russian troops couldn't take the city due to the American weapons because we destroyed the majority of Russian tanks. But in air we don't have such an opportunity. That's why Russia is able to destroy infrastructure, factories, airports, everything they want.
We understand. I mean, that's that's very unfortunate. But But from like the perspective of just operationally, like military aid aside, is there any aid that's getting into Ukraine right now, just with oil supplies, non-military support? Is that something? Because I heard conflicting news that yes, you can help refugees who left, but it's really hard to get food supplies and other supplies into Ukraine itself.
So we got some financial aid from the United States, from International Monetary Fund, and thank you for this, because we will have very big problem with budget. So from my expectation, it will be at least 20 or 25% of budget deficit to GDP. And so now Ukraine use reserves that Ukraine has, but I think that in months or two we will not be able. We will spend everything that we have. Then we will ask you to give more money as financial assistance, because people should get salaries, militaries and others, they receive their salary, because otherwise how to live, how to buy food, because you understand that the prices uh, have increased now in Ukraine, so just it's very difficult. But from military point of view, we didn't get any airplane from any country, any modern missiles against Russian airplanes, and I think that we will not get them. So what I suggest, how can you help? What is very important to Putin, to speak with Joe Biden. You know, I'm not a psychologist, but I think that this man Putin has some problem with his mind. But now there is negotiation between Russia and Ukraine. But it's very difficult for Ukraine to speak with Russians. You understand? Yeah, they are killing our people, and they uh, they have stronger army than we are. That's why we ask the United States, please join these negotiations. I understand that Joe Biden maybe hates Putin as me as others, but to support Ukraine in these negotiations, we need stronger partner. Now only Turkey is trying to help a little bit Ukraine, but Turkey and United States, or for example, Great Britain, United States leaders of United States and Great Britain don't want to speak with Putin. They say that he's very bad guy. We don't want to have any business with him. But we need to stop this war, because first of all, people are killed every day. I think that about 1,000 or two. We don't have any statistics official, but what is happening in Mariupol, what I heard, thousands or maybe
It's
more
horrible.
than 20,000 of people uh, were killed and are killed every day. So we need to stop this, because people, children.
Yes, the ceasefire is the most important. Rudy, do you have contacts in the White House? Can you get Biden to talk to Putin, please?
Well, I don't have contacts. I wish I did. I am persona non gratis. I'm a Democrat, but that's probably my closest connection to to uh, to Biden at this point. I think part of the problem, and one of the reasons why I wanted to have these types of conversations, because I've learned, if anything, we've learned, Elena, over the last 6 years, that you can't trust what you see on the news. It's edited. It's uses just for ratings. You can't always rely on it. honestly, sometimes I find YouTube more reliable than I do the news. But that's, unfortunately, the way of the world. Well, this ends part one of our interview with Sergey Yakubovoskiy. Please remember to subscribe to my channel. Look forward to part two of the interview. Welcome back. Please subscribe.